What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kayla and I am going to tell you guys all about how I am cancer free now. Yes, the title is not clickbait or anything. We're gonna go from the beginning of how I found out I had thyroid cancer all the way to basically now. I just want to preface this by saying I also recognize that there are people out there who have a lot more severe cases of cancer and different types of cancer than I do. So I am very grateful. If you are struggling with cancer or someone you know is struggling with cancer, if you lost someone to cancer, my heart and my prayers are out with you because it is really difficult. And I also recognize that I am very blessed. So also, if you can hear the beeping, my battery is dying in my fire alarm, or my smoke detector. So I'm very sorry. Wanted to apologize in advance. So yes, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So first thing is first, I am going to start from the beginning. Thyroid issues has run in my family. My grandmother had thyroid cancer. My mom has hypothyroidism. So about 2 years ago, I want to say, I went to my primary care doctor and I was having a lot of issues like weight gain, fatigue, things like that. So he felt around on my neck, which is a part of just like your yearly physical, and he felt a nodule on my thyroid. He also did some blood work and found TPO antibodies, which is indicative of Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune disorder that attacks the thyroid. He had me get an ultrasound for the nodule so he can get a sense of how big it was. It was not very big at all, so he just wanted to monitor it. So I had to get another ultrasound the next year. And that is fairly common. Nodules are fairly common, especially in women who have issues with their thyroid. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Fast forward till about July, August of 2021, I went back, another yearly physical. Again, same thing, felt around on my neck. One, because it's just something that they do at yearly physicals. And two, because I had already had the first nodule, so he wanted to get a sense of if it had gotten bigger. And during that appointment, he had found the second nodule. So at this point, he's like, can you go get another ultrasound? Because we need to, again, see how big the second nodule is. We're also looking at if the first nodule has gotten any bigger. And as of right now, I'm calling them nodules because they don't change the terminology to tumor until later on down the line. So I went to get the ultrasound, and the ultrasound report comes back the second nodule is significantly bigger than the first. So my primary referred me to an ENT, eyes, nose, throat doctor, and she sent me to go get a biopsy. I got the biopsy. It was not a fun experience. They numbed me, but you could still feel like the needle stabbing you in the throat. So it wasn't a fun experience, but I got the biopsy, and I want to say a few days after Christmas, that is when we got the pathologist report back that it was suspicious for malignancy. So after that, I went from an ENT to my surgeon, and I will put the name of like the actual specialty on the screen because I don't know how to pronounce it and I'm not gonna butcher it. But so yes, I went from my surgeon's PA, physician assistant, to my surgeon, and we started planning to have surgery. So he was pretty positive that it was cancer, and that's why he wanted to move forward with the surgery. So we talked about it, what the procedure was going to be like. My surgery was scheduled for the beginning of February. However, if you guys have watched my previous video, I found out I was pregnant the end of January. So that kind of halted the surgery right then and there. It wasn't life-threatening. He said we could wait until after I give birth, which was what his preference was, because thyroid cancer is very slow growing. He wasn't too concerned about it. And you know, I didn't have clearance from my OB or anything to have the surgery, so it ended up getting pushed off. But he still wanted me to go in and have my labs done, just because until my baby's thyroid was completely formed and he can make his own thyroid hormones, he was getting it from mine. And there is where the issue comes in. I was getting my labs drawn and my levels were horrendous. They were all over the place. So I was quite literally bouncing from hypothyroidism to hyperthyroidism. Part of the reason being, I already struggled with the hypothyroidism symptoms from my Hashimoto's, because sometimes Hashimoto's will then turn into hypothyroidism, which is why the symptoms are so similar. So I was going from that to hyperthyroidism, simply because when you're pregnant, your body is in protection mode for the baby and it's trying to like hurry up and fix everything. So my body was trying to fix my thyroid. My thyroid was not working, so it caused my levels to skyrocket, which in turn led to hyperthyroidism, which became an issue because I started losing weight. So I am considered high risk. Again, if you haven't seen that video, I will link it in the cards. Go check it out or talk about why I'm high risk, and the thyroid cancer is part of that. So I seen my high risk doctor, and he essentially said the safest time to have surgery for any pregnant woman is between 16 to 20 weeks. He wanted me to reach out to my surgeon to see if my surgeon would do the surgery between 16 and 20 weeks, because again, my thyroid isn't working properly, meaning my baby isn't getting the hormones that he needs, and my levels were just too all over the place for medication. And in the words of my MFM, or my high risk doctor, cancer means out. So I reached out to my surgeon. He said as long as my OB cleared it, he would do the surgery. So my high risk doctor cleared it, my OB cleared it, and we scheduled the surgery for May 6th. Yes, it was a Friday. I'm hoping I got that date right. So we got the surgery scheduled, and my OB sent over all of the instructions to my surgeon on like what to do for the baby and everything. And at that point I was 20 weeks pregnant, and my baby was not viable. So they explained to me with anesthesia, with surgery, obviously there's always risks, and one of those risks is preterm labor. And if that did happen, not that they wouldn't try to save him, but he really wasn't viable at that point. There really wouldn't be much that they could probably do. I understood those risks. However, I also knew that the cancer was hurting him, and there were a lot of complications that went along with him not getting the thyroid hormones that he needs, on top of me not getting the thyroid hormones that I need and trying to supplement to my baby. So we went ahead and did the surgery. I had to be at the hospital at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I met with the anesthesiologist. I met with my surgeon. I just met with like this whole team of people. They had someone from labor and delivery come down to monitor the heart rate of the baby, make sure that everything was okay. We talked about medication, what was safe in terms of pain meds for him and for me, and making sure that, you know, he's safe after the surgery. And we talked like diet and all that stuff. So it was a lot going on, to say the least. So I went in there, they put me under, but they also did things to make sure that I was comfortable pregnancy wise. So there was things under my legs and kind of under my back to support my uterus. They put me under and I had surgery. So initially my doctor was only going, or my surgeon, sorry, was only going to remove the right part of my thyroid because that's where the tumors were. So now at this point, they are tumors because they are malignant, they're cancerous. And he was only going to remove the right side because that's where the tumors were. And so based on what my mom and my husband said, he went in and realized that the left side was extremely inflamed because Hashimoto's. And he just opted to remove the entire thyroid because, according to him, at some point it was going to have to come out anyway. and it was easier to just take it out right then and there because he was already in there. So my doctor went in, removed my entire thyroid, and he sent it off to the pathologist to confirm for cancer. It's just what they have to do, even though he was fairly certain. And he wanted to see if the left side had any sort of cancer in it as well. And plus, there's just a lot of things the pathologist looks for that the surgeon cannot look for just with his plain eyes. So thyroid got sent out. I got sent to a room to recover. When I woke up, they gave me pain medication. Again, monitored the baby's heart rate. He was doing great in there. And I was a little nervous about the pain medication simply because I am pregnant. However, their biggest thing was, we have to manage your pain because if you're in distress, then your baby is going to be in distress. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. They gave me fentanyl when I first came out of the surgery. And I was still waking up, and at first I was like, you're giving me who, what, when, where, and what now? And then I kind of started to come to, and they use fentanyl in labor. So I was like, okay, this is not the worst thing in the world. And baby's heart rate started to get a little bit high because I was in pain and he was responding to me being in pain. So they didn't give me a lot. And then after that, I was managing my pain with Tylenol. So I get to the room, I'm recovering. I wasn't able to eat solid food for the first couple of hours because they wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to vomit. I was getting like Zofran and manage my nausea because I had fasted, so I hadn't had anything to eat. So I was on a strictly liquid diet until they made sure that I was going to be okay. And I just laid in the bed. My mom and husband were there. I slept most of the time. I had an ice pack on my neck to help with the swelling. Nurses were in and out making sure that I was okay. They were checking my feet to check for tingling because when you get your thyroid removed, there is the chance for your calcium and magnesium levels to drop, which mine did. So I ended up having to be on calcium supplements and magnesium supplements. So they were coming in to make sure I wasn't numb or tingly or anything because that's one of the signs of a dangerously low calcium level. So yeah, I stayed in the hospital overnight just to make sure that everything was okay, make sure baby was okay. My high-risk doctor actually came and checked on me and made sure that everything was good. And then after that, the next day I discharged in the morning. My surgeon's physician assistant, the one that I seen before the biopsy, came. She discharged me. She checked and made sure that everything was okay. And that is when they put me on thyroid medication. So I do every morning have to take levothyroxine. That is where I get my thyroid hormone from now. I have to take it, I opt to take it in the morning because I'm supposed to take it an hour before I eat anything, which is why it's easier to just take it in the morning. Usually what I'll do is my alarm will go off, I'll take it and go right back to sleep. And by the time I wake up again, I'm ready to eat. That's how I take it. I was on, again, calcium supplements for a little bit, but they got my calcium regulated, so I am no longer on that. And now the only thing supplement wise that I still take is magnesium because that's the one thing that is still low. So that's kind of what's been happening. I had steri strips on up until maybe 2 weeks after the surgery, and then the steri strips came off, and now as you guys can see, I have on this silicone bandage, and this is just for the scar. So I have to keep this on until I see my surgeon again in 3 months, about August, which is like right before I give birth. But this is just supposed to help with the scar. He explained it to me. I don't do the body, so I'm not too sure why. Something about the thickness of the scar or whatever, but it doesn't look really bad at all. It just looks like a line across my neck. So it was a pretty good cut, if I do say so myself. I have a really great surgeon. And yeah, a couple of days before I went to see the surgeon to have like the steri strips removed and for him to check in, I got the report back from the pathologist who in fact confirmed that it was cancer. It was papillary thyroid carcinoma, papillary thyroid cancer. So we just got everything out. I also have to see an endocrinologist, and she's going to be the one who is monitoring my thyroid levels now, and she also will have to adjust the dosage of my levothyroxine, because as my pregnancy goes along, as I gain more weight, the dosage will have to be adjusted. And then obviously once I give birth and, you know, my body regulates itself, I can go back to, I guess, a normal dosage. So I see her again in 6 months, but I have to have labs drawn for her every month. And at this point, you guys, I am tired of giving blood. I gave so much blood in the hospital after surgery. I had so many labs drawn to check my parathyroid hormone and calcium and magnesium and TSH and TS4. I'm just like tired of giving blood. I hate needles, but whatever. Here we are. So both my surgeon and endocrinologist are about 99% certain I will not need radioactive iodine. They're pretty certain that once my doctor got my thyroid out, he got all of the cancer out. If I did have to have radioactive iodine for whatever reason, I wouldn't be able to do it until after I gave birth, because that is not something you can do while pregnant. But again, they're fairly certain that he got the cancer out when he got my thyroid out. So both tumors, nodules, were cancerous. So I've had cancer for a couple of years now. So 2 years once the first nodule was first found, and didn't really know it. And it's just, again, what my primary did was just simple protocol. There was no way for him to know, simply because, again, nodules are fairly common. Also, I'm fairly young, so yeah, he is fairly certain the cancer won't come back. But again, I have to go back to see him in August to make sure that the cancer won't come back, and make sure I don't need radioactive iodine, make sure everything is okay in that sense. The only other thing is it's now summer, so I'm going to be wearing these up until August. But after that, this area will burn easier, so I have to make sure that I'm putting like sunscreen on it, stuff like that, so that it doesn't burn. But as of right now, like I said, I am cancer-free. I don't have cancer anymore. I don't have Hashimoto's because my thyroid is gone. So I don't have to deal with that anymore, which is great, because that was like, those symptoms were horrible. And so pretty much my symptoms, now that I'm on the medication, are pretty much gone. So like my fatigue is from being pregnant. I am gaining weight because I'm pregnant. So all of the weight that I had lost, I'm starting to slowly gain back. So not at the rate that I was before, but just at like a healthy, normal pregnant rate, and for where I am in my pregnancy. So that's great. So a lot of my symptoms have withered away, and I'm not complaining. I feel good. I'm happy that I just went ahead and got it over with. It was a little scary having to do it while I was pregnant, not just knowing what's going to happen. I was being put under, worrying about if my baby was going to be okay, if I was going to be okay. But here I am. I'm just glad that it's over with, and I'm just like so happy that I got this thing taken out and it's done. I don't have to deal with it anymore. So I'm pretty sure I covered everything. If I didn't, I will like throw just random comments in the comment section if I missed anything. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'm very open about this process. You guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know I've struggled with thyroid issues, so this is nothing new. The surgery is just the newest update in this saga. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video.